Okay, hello and welcome back everyone. I'm Kevin from Camera MC, and today I'm gonna be surfacing this guy, which is wait, my camera's not very straight. Let's make it straight. Okay, then let's. Okay, so I'm gonna be surfacing this Canon FL 35mm f2.5, which is got some funky and maybe some hazy. Not sure if you can see that. Also, the aperture is like oily as heck. See? So I'm gonna go clean that, yeah? Then I'm gonna be filming on the Ecamm E4K 2, yeah, basically. So I can go up to here. Okay. Let's go. So take my vernier calipers, because this thing has slots in the front, yeah, basically. You can also use like rubber cones if you want, but I'm gonna be using this guy. Also, I advise you on using what you call this thing, your cap, because these things can actually bend sometimes. So let me go find one. Okay, so I have a cap for the rear of this thing. Now you wanna make sure this thing is open. Put the cap on and close it down. Now you can actually push in the lens with your whole body weight, and it won't like destroy the pin. So that's nice. Now how I opened the other one was, let me try opening from the back. I believe it's gonna be from the back. This thing also wobbles a bit, yeah, the front. So I think the back is sort of like wobbly, and maybe one of these things hold the back in. I'm not sure. Let's see. I think it's this thing. See, look how wobbly this thing is. If it's not that, then it's something over here. Yeah? So let's see. Let's take my Xiaomi Weha set. Oh, the heck. Take the 1.5mm bit. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Just one screw. Yeah. But this thing's quite smooth, yeah, so I don't think I'm gonna have to like clean this thing up if I only wanna like clean the inside of the lens. So this thing is gonna come out. Take my tweezers. This is number 2. These are quite easy to come out, yeah, which means that somebody's been in here before. Because Canon screws are usually quite stiff and quite hard to open if you're the first one in there. Yeah. So this is been opened before. Then now you wanna peel this up. Son of a shit, yeah. Come on. Voila. The heck, man. There we go. This thing is out. Then you can see this. So these things have to go in here basically, yeah. Then this thing, okay. You wanna take this thing out, I believe, yeah. So take the largest bit I have. This thing will spring over there, I believe. But then there's this pin over there, which means that it's not gonna spring on its own. So this is the aperture pin. This is the spring mechanism in the back. So let's take this thing out before I take this thing out. If you take this thing out, it's basically going to take the spring out, yeah, because this is your spring pivot. So be careful, hold the spring. make sure it doesn't like jump out. It jumped, but I think I still have the screw. So yeah, so that's why it's a bit hard to like get that thing right. Now you want to pull this thing. Spring comes out from the bottom, I believe, yeah. Not sure. Let's take this thing out first, this pivot, and let's see what happens next. So the pivot came out quite easily. So this pivot is from, it's gonna take this, then you have like this pushing, and then you have pushing over here. Okay, then the spring is over there. Okay. So then you can see some crease over here, yeah, which is obviously not from the factory. This is your aperture moving lever basically. And this thing is wobbly. I can see this thing wobbling, this screw over here. Which means that the brass piece is not from the bottom. Let's try taking the ring out, yeah. So put this thing back in. Let's take like a 2mm maybe, yeah. Okay, taking the screw out. There's a ball bearing inside of here, somewhere, yeah. So you want to be careful about that. What's over here? It's like a spring. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's a leaf spring on this thing. It's not a ball bearing, which is quite a lot better, I'd say. Yeah? So let's take one of these things, Q-tips, and clean the surface over here so I don't get this mud all over my fingers. Yeah. So this, then you want to just pull this mud away. It felt quite nice, this thing from outside, yeah, but it's actually quite disgusting inside. So that's why you have to overhaul your lenses, yeah. Okay. Now let's take a tissue. Scoop this stuff up. Okay, that's disgusting. Now you wanna, what you wanna do now? This thing probably doesn't do anything. What are these things then? I think this thing holds the optical block in. Let's see if I'm right, yeah. So pull this thing out and yeah, okay. It does hold the optical block in. So screw this guy out basically. Okay, and this thing should just fall out just like that. And then this is the helicoid. The helicoid's quite nice actually, yeah. Only it's like drenched in oil and grease, which is disgusting. But it's actually quite okay if you want to reuse it, yeah. And I think I will reuse it. Actually, not really. So I'm gonna re-grease this thing later. These screws are sort of loose for some reason, which is why it wobbles slightly. And this one is shit, see? This one is cracked. And that's why it's a bit hard to like screw on. But now it doesn't wobble anymore, which is nice. So this is your helicoid. I'm gonna put it over here. And this is your optical block. Oh shit, this is like full of oil, man. And I touched it. Okay. So no wonder the aperture is full of oil, yeah. Because the whole lens is basically full of oil. So I'm gonna just wipe this down. Look at this, yeah, how disgusting it is. Whoosh. Throw this away. Then let's take another tissue. It's always these surprises with vintage lenses. You don't know who serviced these things before you, so that's why you find these pleasant surprises. Okay, this is sort of clean, I believe, yeah. Now let's put this thing in. Also, the optic sort of protrudes out there, so you do not want to put this thing on the table. I felt this thing sort of wobble just now, that's why I know. Okay, now you want to take this thing apart basically, yeah. So, you wanna... yeah, let's take this thing apart. So, first you want to take a piece of tissue. So push stuff away. Okay, yeah. Then take a tissue. Like this thing over here. And then you want to open up the rear optical block, because the front is okay to put on the floor, the rear is not, so that's why I'm gonna take this thing off first. Okay, now you wanna twist it out. Okay, yeah. After that thing, you have this optic, which should just fall out. It's some kind of a group, yeah, basically. This thing's coating is shut, and now you have this rear bit of your aperture over here. You can see how much oil is in there, yeah? So now you can actually put this thing like this on the table, and it won't fall over. So next, what you want to do is you want to open the front, I believe, yeah? So, use rubber tools, or let's use vernier calipers, because I like to torque the thing out, yeah? Not just like slide the thing out. So, let's do this. Okay. There you go. That's the front. Now you have these two small prongs. This will require one of these pointy tools over here. Yeah? So, you know, unscrew one of the sides. quite big, this lens. Okay. Oh, that's quite a stiff lens. So now you wanna unscrew this guy. And FL lenses have a ton of parts, so you really don't wanna mess with them. If you have an FL lens that's like this thing in condition, yeah, your table can be like full of parts only from one lens. So you really don't want to have like another lens while you're working on this lens, because you might actually swap the parts and stuff like that. Okay. Well, it's like one optical block, man. Just comes straight out. This thing you can unscrew from here and here, which means that this thing should be serviceable. And yeah, that's your front optical block. The rear is sealed, maybe, not sure. It seems like you can open it from here, yeah, but I'm not sure. It sort of seems sealed though, so yeah, there you go. Now you have this thing over here. This is where all the parts are basically, so gonna have to remove this thing ring by ring. This. The aperture of this thing, yeah. Yeah, okay, let's go. So this thing I believe opens from the back, which means I'm gonna have to basically tidy every single thing over here on this side, yeah. Slotted 2.0, okay. So let's go. First you wanna take this ball bearing out. Find a small cup, like this thing over here. That's not very flexible, so you wanna unscrew these screws over here. Then you're gonna chop the bearing out. There you go. Put over there. Then next you have this lock ring over here, yeah? Which is this golden brass thingy. You wanna pull this thing out somehow, like this. Shit. Okay. Ah, fuck. You wanna use a screwdriver maybe, yeah? Like a 0.9mm bit to like slide under this thing, so you can actually pry it up. And then you have it come out, okay, like that, yeah? Okay, that's out. Now this ring should just come out. This thing has no clicker maybe, or does it have one? Seems like it doesn't have a clicker yet, so let's just try and pull this thing out. Also have this screw over here, yeah? Which means that you have to take this thing out first. Shit. This thing I believe will center the helicoid basically. Put it over there. Pull this thing straight out. And you have this, no balls, okay, nice. This is your aperture like setting thingy, yeah. Okay, so next you wanna open this ring maybe. or maybe not. What's this? Screws? Yeah, screws. Okay, so this thing is a brass. I'm not sure what the hell this thing does, but I'm pretty sure this thing will take this thing out. This ring connects to this. Let's take this brass ring out now. I think this thing has something to do with the inside over here. So let's mark the brass ring first though, yeah. So let's take a marking screwdriver, which is basically that screwdriver, and mark it where, yeah. Let's mark the top basically. Okay, that seems clear enough. So let's try this 1.5, I think, yeah. 1.5 is a bit too big for this thing. I think you're better off with a 1.2 mil or 1.1 mil. This is a 1.2 mil. It's a bit fat though, yeah. So let's take a 2 point something bit or a 3 mil bit, because this thing is quite a large screw, yeah. So taking a 3 mil. Let's see if it'll fit. And it does sort of fit. Yeah, it does fit. Okay, nice. So screw this thing in. Okay, perfect. Then screw this thing in. And screw this thing in. Okay, next you want to tighten these screws down quite hard. Actually, it don't have to be very hard, yeah, but so what, I'm just gonna do it quite hard. Okay, and then next, what you wanna do? You wanna put the optical block into here, I believe, yeah. Yeah. See, it's not very heavy, this thing. Somehow Helicoid always makes this squishing noise. My FL also did this, the Canon FL. Not sure why, but yeah, that's what. I'm gonna put this thing in basically after this. See? Nice, no more wobble. The wobble was in the Helicoid key before, yeah, before this. So then you have this guy, this shim. Just gotta go here. Push this down again. Okay. Then you wanna lock this thing in. This thing looks a bit dirty. I've already washed this, I think. Yeah, not sure, but I think I have. Let's wipe the alcohol again to make sure. So this is basically a full overhaul, yeah, on this Canon FL35mm f2.5, up to a point that you can say this thing is as clean as it was when it was new, yeah, basically. So yeah, not bad. Let's push this thing down again. What in the hell is this? Oh. Some customers are sort of assholes, yeah. They like force you to make stuff which you don't want to make. That's quite odd, I'd say, because I'm doing this as a hobby and not like a full-time job. That's why sometimes I can actually say no, but not sure why people actually force me to do stuff, which I do not want to do. This guy wants like a Nikonos to Sony E-mount adapter, and I don't want to make one. That's the thing. I do not want to make one. I made one to Leica M because I wanted it to work on my Leica T and my Nikon Z6. I didn't make a Sony one because I do not have a Sony camera. I have a Sony TechArt adapter from Sony E-mount to Nikon Nikon Z, which in the end allows me to use Sony glass. But let me go show you this. Shit. Oh wait, I don't actually have adapters. So let's just do this another day. But I've actually made a video on the Nikonos to Leica mount adapter that I've made. If you want to watch it, that's I think the only one that is available in like the world basically. Aside from the what you call this case thingy, it's the not sure what the hell you call that case, yeah, but it's some case for the Leica M, which in the end will allow it to like accept Nikonos lenses. My adapter actually works quite well, even though it's like super thin. But I made the adapter because I like the Nikonos lenses and I like the system. I also like the Leica M system. That's why I made it. I do not like the Sony system, and that's why I'm not gonna make one. So yeah, these things are pivots. Pivots need grease. Pivots need grease, so I'm gonna give this thing some. This thing has a spring. Spring will go on that fastener, which will in the end go up here. So let's put some Helicoid grease so everything will die at the same time, yeah. So if you put more than one type of grease in the lens, sometimes some types of grease will actually die before the other grease, which in the end means that sometimes your focus will be nice, yeah, and your aperture is like full of grease, like Helios lenses basically. And that's what I do not want, so let's just use the same type of grease everywhere else. So this thing still has some grease, okay. Let's put some grease on here, some grease on here. Okay. And you want to put this over here. If I sound like that, I'm putting this thing in my mouth because I don't want to contaminate my table with some grease. So yeah. And you want to put this over here. Like that, yeah. Then you want to put this. Then you want to put this on here first basically, yeah. So you want to put some grease on here and on the bottom of here and over here. Okay. Next, the string goes into here, yeah? So you wanna basically loop this top, loop the inside, and loop the bottom pivot. Just like that, yeah? Okay. And then you can push this in here, like this, yeah? There you go. And then do that. Okay, so then you wanna basically put this screw back in. Stick this slot 3.0 out and put this in. Also, if you're putting your tools in your mouth, put only the edge of your tool into your teeth and don't like use your tongue and stuff like that. That's disgusting. So the reason why I can't talk clearly is because if you put your tool in your mouth, like put in your gum and stuff like that, you will be able to talk, but then your tools will be disgusting as heck, and that's disgusting for me. I do not want to do that. So if you only put them in your teeth, you're only contacting very little bit of your mouth, which is which is more hygienic than putting them in your gum. So you wanna push this in here, so it's clear. Fuck you, man. Come on. Go in, no shit. Go in here. There you go. That's cool, man. Come on, lah. But yeah. So basically the spring doesn't want to stretch and like cover the, there you go, pivot. Not has already done that, so I want to push it down, okay. And this thing is supposed to be able to push what way should it push? I'm not 100% sure yet, but I think it's supposed to be able to push like that way. There you go, see? So it's supposed to push that way, which means you have to push it over here, and then you want to push this pivot over here into here. Nice. Then you want to push this pushing over here. Okay. Then you want to push this screw into here, like that, yeah. Then you want to find where the heck the hole is, and then screw it in. I think that's the hole, yeah, see? So screw this thing in. Then you want to take your screwdriver, change the bit to like your hugest bit you have. This thing's a slotted 4.0 mil. I think I used this thing just now, yeah, to open this thing up. So I'm going to use this thing to close it back down. Tighten it down, okay. Then, as you can see, it actually works. So now what you want to do is, this is like basically the home stretch, yeah. So you want to put this thing back in like this. Make sure the holes are visible from outside. Take your 1.5 bit. I think it's a bit too big at 1.5, but let's see. Let's put the screws over here. Oh no, it's actually okay 1.5. So 1.5 should be okay for this. Let's screw, come on lah. Go in. Oh shit. But yeah, this thing is a bit hard to get correct. Okay, this thing actually works. Let's screw it down. This thing I think is quite easy to strip. I'm not sure, yeah, because this thing seems like aluminum. So I advise against like torquing this thing fully down. The lens body seems like steel. I'm not sure what the heck it is, yeah. Maybe it's aluminum also, but it's a bit more thick, yeah, basically, the lens body. These screws are a bit thin, and that's why I do not like to torque these things down that much. Why? Oh, no, that's wrong. That's why it's not going in. This goes in here. Okay. Then the last one. Okay. Now you have this, which means you wanna loop the rails on this thing, on the helicoid. Because FD lenses use like this system where you actually clamp on the mount with this helicoid on here, which is quite odd, but yeah, there you go. That is Canon's logic. So okay, so I think everything is okay. And that is, I think, but I'm sure that. So let's see. Let's mount on my burnt FDB. It will. So yeah, thank you for watching, everyone. Hopefully you liked the video. Thank you and goodbye. Have a nice day. My FL 35mm F2.5 is done. Bye bye. So it won't go in the screw. So then let me use a 1.0mm. This thing should go in the screw. There you go. That's one out. Second one out. So this X basically also goes on the top basically, yeah. That's what it does. It indicates the top. Then this is your third screw, okay. Then it should just come out like this. You have a bearing. This is your clicker basically, yeah. Then you have a bearing and a ball. So you want to find another cup where you can put this. I mean, you have a spring and a ball, yeah. So spring and a ball bearing over here, put over here. Then you have this ring over here, yeah. The spring goes here with the ball. And you pull this ring out. This thing controls the front. The pin over here, basically, yeah. If you want to make it clickless, like some cinema model lenses, you just take the ball bearing and the spring out, and you have a clickless aperture basically. Now let me read my phone because I heard some notification. Oh yeah, okay. Some random spam, yeah. So it's my charger. Nah. Okay. Let's put this stuff away. Now you have this thing basically all open. Now you wanna basically take the lock rings out, and then after you take the lock rings out, you can basically take the rings out one by one. Then you can take the aperture out. So let's go, yeah. Pulling this lock ring out. Let's put it over here. The optics will have to go somewhere else soon, yeah, because soon the table won't fit in, like, won't be enough for the optics basically. So let's put this mouse away, push this keyboard aside, there you go. Okay, now you want to pull this thing out, but you cannot pull this thing out yet because it has this screw on the side. So you want to unscrew this screw. Okay, yeah. Then you see this thing, it controls this prong over there basically at this thing, yeah. So when you pull this thing out, this thing might jump. Wait, why is it not coming out? Yeah, it's coming out okay. And it didn't jump. So pull on both sides and it doesn't jump. There you go. Then you have this lock ring over here. After you take this lock ring out, this thing should come out, but it doesn't come out because you have this screw over here on the side. Unscrew the screw. Oh, shit. Unscrew this thing, and after you're done, this thing controls what? This thing only pushes the knob over here basically, yeah. So if it does this, you can push it back out there. Pull it out. But yeah, I think I'm better off showing the camera so I don't actually forget, because I don't take FL lenses apart that often. So this thing controls that little ring over there basically, yeah, which can push this thing when it comes out like this. See? Okay, let's pull this thing out, put it over here. And next, what do we have? We have this, which is the aperture assembly. To pull the aperture assembly out, wait, you also have this shim. Pull the aperture assembly out, wait, you also have another thing. You have this, so you have this extra brass ring over here, yeah. This brass ring over there will basically control this little pin over here, and this thing will push that spring over there. See, it'll control that, because this thing's like sort of got like a rising profile basically. So the more you turn this thing here, the more this thing gets pushed up and into here basically, like that, yeah. So now I'm gonna pull this thing apart. So this thing basically is a governor for the screw over here. I mean for this aperture pin over here. So if you push it here, yeah, it'll open the aperture like this if you push it this way. And then you cannot push this pin on the bottom here. This pin, the spring, and this red number over there. If you pull it here, it will not engage with this thing. So in the end, you can push this pin and close the aperture like this. See, that's how it works. So you will now turn the lock ring around, pull the lock ring out, and this ring should just come out. Okay, and then you have this aperture assembly, which is supposed to be held in by these 3 screws on the side. If you take these 3 out, you can just bang it on the table and it'll just fall out. So let's take my 1mm bit. How are these so loose, man? See? These came out like nothing. There you go. The lens is apart. So you have this and you have this. The oil is everywhere in my hands, man. I'm gonna have to wash my hands after this. So you have this mechanism over here basically, yeah. And I'm gonna have to clean the aperture after this. So you have this over here and you have this. First you wanna clean the aperture basically after this, yeah. So you wanna open this thing up. To open this thing up, I believe you have 2 screws on here and you just take this thing apart and the aperture blades fall out, but I'm not 100% sure. So, but I think it is that way. So, wait, let's see. This pushes on that. Let's just try and open the aperture assembly out first, yeah. So, opening this guy. So slippery, man. The oil is everywhere. Okay. You have this over here. Then you can pull this thing out. And then you have these aperture blades. So the pins on the aperture blades all face forward basically in the lens. Next you want to pull them out one by one. Or all at once maybe. Wait, but the aperture pin is not allowing that, so you want to pull the blades out. You want to disengage the spring. Okay, pull that spring out. You can pull this guy out. And then you want to dip all of these things into some solvent. And I'm going to come back after I do that. So yeah, bye bye. Shit. Okay, so yeah. Everything is clean. And we should be ready to put everything back into one piece, yeah. So let's go. This is my alcohol, let me just put it away. And we should be set to go, yeah. So yeah. Let's take some grease. Then let's take my brush, yeah. Okay, so put the brush away. slide there. Oh yeah, okay. So you wanna put some grease. On the flat bit over here, yeah. Okay, next you wanna grease the inside of the rails, these little slits in there, yeah. Okay. You do not want too much, because if you put too much, then it'll seep into the aperture and become oily again, basically. So don't want that to happen. You only want a bit of grease, and then put this into here. Okay. Then you want to screw this thing back down. To do that, you want to put this in here. You also want to loop the little, what you call this thing, like stand off part over here, yeah? Or else you should brush, because this is probably easier with the brush at this bit, yeah? Okay. Okay, no more scraping sounds, yeah? So then you want to put the spring back on. For this, you want to put the spring into this bottom one first. Like that, yeah? Then you hold this spring with your tweezers, and then you want to slot it into the top one, basically. So, let's see, yeah? You can also jam the spring into your nail like this, yeah, if you have long nails, and then use your nail to like push it into the other side. Shit. Let's try using my steel pliers. There you go. I think the grease is a bit too dampening in this thing, yeah? See? It's quite slow, but actually it works quite well right now, yeah? So should be okay. Let's maybe reduce the grease by a little bit with some alcohol. So let's wipe some of this off. Okay. Nice, perfect. Okay, so after this thing is done, you wanna basically put this thing back in there. For this, you wanna have this thing go in dry, not wet, not greasy. So you wanna put this thing in here, like this, yeah, basically. Okay. What's up with my phone? Okay, my friend wants a lens CLA. Yeah, I'm gonna do that later, yeah? I'm gonna reply him later because he's my friend, not a customer, so let's worry less about that. Wait. I want something to hold this thing because if you put on the floor, it'll push this thing up. And that's not ideal, yeah? So you wanna find a way to basically prop it up. Maybe this can help. Not sure there. Yeah, it can work. So put over here. Okay. Then you wanna slot the aperture blades back in here, yeah? So wait, let's use two tweezers. Shit. Because 2 is always better than 1. So push this guy back in. Nice. These blades are sort of dusty, so I'm gonna have to blow them first. Okay, then that's the last one. The last one also is the hardest, yeah, so you want to put it in slowly and carefully. So shit. Wait. Let's redo this, yeah. So this thing is not a good base. Do not use your optical block as your base. So I mean, it's not your optical block, yeah. It's like your, yeah, it's an optical block basically. So you want to use something else. Okay, this seems like it's gonna work. So these Chinese rubber cones look like they're gonna do better than the optical block in holding the aperture assembly in. Now I'm gonna have to put them all back in one by one. Piece of shit, these things here. That's one. This is two. This is three. Shit. This is four. This is five. You want to be careful with six. Six is in. Now you want to drop this thing into here. Seems like it works. So tighten this screw down. Tighten this screw down. Okay. There seems to be a little bit of crease on this thing. I touched it, yeah. So this back one seems that's clean. That's clean. Okay, everything seems fine and nice and in working condition. So Okay, seems nice. So next thing you want to do is you want to push this thing in. No, you want to put the spring back on. So you want to push this spring from this pivot over here into that red bit over there. So you want to push it in like this and drop it in. Okay. Now it springs back, which is nice. Sort of dusty, yeah. Okay. This. Oh yeah, it's sort of greasy. Wait. I've already washed this thing there, so it shouldn't have any grease. That's some like residue, I believe, yeah. So let's wipe this stuff clean. Okay. Okay, nice. So that thing's clean. Now you want to drop this thing into the optical block over here, which is usually easier said than done, yeah. So you want to clean this bit over here first. I've already washed this thing also, but somehow the soap hasn't like cleaned this top bit over here. Also, this thing's not very clean. Okay. This now looks quite clean, so I should be okay to put the aperture block back in. Aperture block. Okay, you want to mark this thing first though, so you can actually see where the screws have to go. Using this dead screwdriver, I'm gonna mark this. Okay. So you mark it where the aperture holder screws go, yeah, these small nibs over here. There you go. Line this up with that slot. Chop it in. Okay. Next you wanna make the white dot you put align with this hole on the outside. There you go, that's aligned. So you can actually see the silverish thingy over there, yeah? So now what you want to do is you want to screw it back in. Take your set screws, drop one in here. Still keep it tilted over to the side, yeah, so the aperture unit doesn't jump out, because that'll be bad, yeah, if it jumps out. This is my 0.9 screwdriver. You can probably get away with a 0.1, I mean 1.0, but I'm gonna be using the 0.9 because my 1.0 is over there, and I don't feel like taking it for now. The grip's not as good as the 0.9 on my 1.0. And this mosque music, yeah, sometimes it's actually copyright strike, so if you can, I mean if I can, I'm gonna keep talking so I don't get banned from a few countries basically, yeah. It's not like I'm the one that's playing it, or it's not, I mean, what's called this thing, and it's also not like you're here to listen to that, yeah, but sometimes I actually copyrighted that stuff, so I'm not sure why the heck I can actually copyright that, yeah, but yeah, that is how Indonesia is. So there you go. This, then you have this last one. Okay, see, nice. Then you want to put the rings back in, these things over here. Then you want to put the rings on the outside, and then you can put this stuff in here, and then you can start fixing the aperture, the optical block, and then you can start fixing the helicoid. So how many percent battery is this? 27%, and I have like 29 minutes left in the recording. Okay, let us put these things back in. Ah, shit. Okay. Push. That's in. Nice. That's how it works. Okay. So then next you want to have this thing. This thing had some crease before I put this thing back in, but it actually seems okay, man. Let's see if you open this. Oh yeah, I see. Okay, so this thing probably needs some grease on the outside. A little bit of it, yeah. This thing cannot stop this thing down, but it can stop it up, which means it's gonna be on this side. Okay, let me take my brush, lightly brush this thing outside. You don't want very much grease on it, yeah, because it's gonna basically flow back into the aperture. Stick a little bit more grease. You want like a very, very thin coating on the outside, just enough that it doesn't scrape, but not so much that it spills everywhere. Okay, then you want to lock this thing back in. Wait, let's check the what? Wait, yeah. This thing's supposed to move that. Okay. This then is supposed to move what? This means it's F. Okay, that's F16. This thing's supposed to push something. Not sure what. Okay, I think it's something on the bottom that's gonna push it, yeah. So I'm okay with that. Let's see if I'm wrong. I haven't watched this video back, so I'm not sure if I'm wrong or right, yeah, but there we go. I do not remember, that's a problem. So this is gonna go in here. This little pin. Okay. Then you wanna crease this pin section over here. Okay, then you wanna push this pin. Remember this locking ring? It's locking ring over here, yeah? And then you wanna push this into here somehow. So you wanna push it. Is there a lip in here? Yeah, there should be. Yeah, there you go. So there's a lip in there. You wanna push it in, and then there you go. I think this thing's gonna have a spring. This mechanism over here, yeah, is gonna push this thing back there, and then you can use this thing to basically push it back down. That's what it should do, yeah, I think. At least that's the way I remember. So now you wanna push this thing in. This thing also has to, I mean, it's supposed to have what you call this thing, crease on the side of it, and this is gonna interfere with this thing over there, if my memory serves me right. Yeah. So you wanna take some crease, smother this thing with crease. Only a little bit of it though, not a lot. So just enough that it covers the whole surface, but it's only like a thin film of grease, not like a not like you're pouring grease on it. There we go, yeah. Then this. Okay. Pull this. Then that looks nice. Put a little bit of it in this fork. Okay. Cover this crease up. And then put this thing in the fork. Okay. Then you wanna screw the pin into there, yeah? Actually, let's grease the rail in here first before you put the pin inside. Okay, yeah. And now you want to screw this. Shit. Okay, that's nice. Tighten it a little bit more. Okay. Then you're gonna put the lock ring back in. Okay, there you go. Nice. Okay. Next thing you wanna do is you wanna put the aperture ring back on. This thing, yeah. You want some crease on here also. So let's put this over here first. You can put a bit more crease here because it's outside the lens, yeah, it's not inside, so it shouldn't be that easy for this crease to go into the aperture assembly and then like basically wreck your aperture and your optics, because grease is fungi food basically, and by giving your fungi food you're basically encouraging it to grow, and if you encourage something to grow then it's gonna grow, and fungi is not your lens's best friend, yeah, so you don't want that growing in your lens. So this is creased up. Okay, you also want the bottom creased. Okay, close the crease up, slide this thing down into the pin. Why is it somehow not going in the pin? Come on, go in. Come on. There you go. It somehow doesn't want to go that well into the pin. Not sure why, but seems like it wants more crease. Especially on this pin over there. Okay, nice. Okay, so now you're gonna push this into here. It's going quite well. Okay. Next, you wanna push the spring and the ball back into there. So, the spring, push it in. Then you have the ball. You're gonna put some grease onto the spring so the ball sticks to it. Okay, go. Put the ball on the spring, this. Then you want to put some grease onto this brass piece over here. This thing doesn't spin, but you want to have the grease on these like slots over here, because the ball bearing will sit into the, will jump into the slots basically every time you click the aperture, yeah. And over time they'll create wear, and after very much time, if you don't have any crease, actually not very much time, yeah, if you don't have any crease, it'll slowly eat into the like slots over there basically, and then you'll have no slots and no more clicks. So I'll put some crease over here. Okay, and then you want to put this thing. Where's the X? X over there. Okay. Wait. Actually, I want to put the grub screws back in first, so that I can actually lock the thing in before I like what you call this thing. So I can lock it in easier, so I don't like knock the ball bearing out basically. Because if you knock that thing out and it goes somewhere else, you're not gonna find it anymore. Okay. This. Screw it in. Okay. And this. Okay, nice. So then you want to find the X. Where is the X? X. There you go. Push this thing down. Okay. Then you wanna screw this thing down. Find the hole. Then screw this thing down slightly more. Now it's locked in, so you should be okay letting the thing go, yeah. It clicks. Nice. So then you only need to set this thing down basically. Screw it fully in. Then this one. Then this one. This thing, the sleeve is sort of like slipping down, which is shit, yeah. I'm gonna have to redo this thing. But at least the aperture ring is done. Take my 1.9. That's tight. This is tight. This is also tight. Okay, nice. So it clicks, it works. Now the next thing you wanna do is you wanna wait, what's this? 14% battery. 1 minute left. Okay, I'm gonna cut the video and I'm gonna charge the camera, yeah? So I'm gonna come back soon. Bye bye. Okay, I'm back. So let's go continue, yeah. This, now you wanna put this ring back on here, yeah, basically. So take this ring. This thing will need some crease, I believe, yeah? Slot into here. So you'll need some grease. Okay. Okay, that seems nice enough. You wanna push this thing down right now. Okay, nice and smooth. Now you wanna put the locking ring back onto here, yeah, basically. Okay, then you wanna find the one different screw. Put over here. Then you can see the two little things right here and the ball bearing. So you wanna put some grease where the ball bearing is gonna sit. Just like that, yeah. Okay. You wanna close your grease. Then you wanna put this on here. Okay. Then you wanna drop the ball bearing into the slot over here, yeah, basically. Just like that. And then you wanna take the other screw, push on this brass or copper plate thingy. Screw it down. And yeah, there you go. So you have this thing. Clicking again. Nice. Next, what you want to do is you want to put this thing back into here. But then this thing's gonna have to have a full tear down also, yeah, basically. So this you want to push on the side. Like this. Stack them, put them away. Then you wanna clean the optics or do this. I think I'm gonna do the helicoid first, maybe. So this is greasy as hell, man. Shit, it's disgusting. So yeah, I wanna do this thing first. Yeah, let's take some tissue. And wipe this thing. See, look at how disgusting it is. Then wipe this. It's like literally oil, man, this thing. It's not even grease anymore. It also smells disgusting. Then you clean this ring. Okay. Yeah. Seems nice. So Next, what you want to do, I think, is you want to mark this thing basically. So what do you want to mark? Oh, that's the helicoid key holder basically. That's what was wobbling just now. Then you wanna open this up basically. But it's actually quite smooth, this thing, yeah. But it's also the grease is like separated, so that's why I wanna separate this thing and clean the whole thing up. So let's focus this thing to infinity first. Okay, infinity, this thing will align with this helicoid key basically. Infinity aligns with the helicoid key, and yeah, that's it. So you wanna maybe mark this thing, this, and this, and this. This goes down here. This. Okay. So now you wanna make sure you can actually see this. That's how deep it is supposed to be, yeah? So there you go. And now we should try and unscrew this helicoid. I mean this focusing ring. So infinity. Yeah, you can see how disgusting that is, yeah? So that's that. And you have this locker over here basically, yeah? So this thing has no lock, but this thing's the lock basically for this lens itself. Okay, understand. Probably want to take a photo of the lock. As if the photo's gonna help me, because my Sony's like rubbish, man, this camera. Okay, that actually works. It's actually visible, yeah? It's supposed to be very close to the bottom, okay? Let's fold this thing over. Take some more alcohol. Then you can take these helicoid keys out. I mean, it's not helicoid key, what you call this thing? It's the helicoid like stopper basically, the infinity stop. Screw it with it. I think what you want to do is you want to mark this thing also, yeah, basically. So you want to mark this. This, okay, so I've marked this, and then what you can do is you can take a photo. Hopefully your phone is better than mine. I mean the camera, yeah. Because my phone's quite a good phone as a phone. As a camera, not very much. So that's it. Then you want to unscrew this. Okay. Then you can take this locker out. Then you can unscrew this. This thing comes out of the helicoid. Then you want to mark this thing somehow, yeah. Let's put X maybe. Put X on infinity, yeah, basically. So where will it come out? There we go, that it came out there. So X is gonna be over here. Okay, that's an X. X will go into here basically. Okay. So X will go, basically this thing's to the middle of this, yeah? Will go into this X, and this X will go into the infinity stop of this. Next you want to wash the helicoids, and then put them back, loop them, clean the optics, and you should be done. So yeah, gonna leave you for a while I wash these things. Bye bye. Okay, hello. So I'm back here and I'm gonna be fitting these things back into here basically, yeah. So I don't feel like doing anything right now. I feel like sleeping, but yeah, I'm gonna continue what I've started and I'm gonna finish this lens. So this thing still looks like it has some residue, yeah, from like the old crease. So I'm gonna have to clean that with my Q-tip and some alcohol. Okay, you wanna tighten that down, and this down. Okay, those seem clean. These things, this is like from the crease, man. The old crease like rotted on the paint, and that's what happens. Yeah, the paint sort of like flakes off. It's not like it's flaking off. I mean, it's like it's sort of etched. Yeah, basically. So it's not very nice. Then you wanna wipe this thing down, the helicoid, with your fingers. Oh shit. Now check this. This seems pretty much okay. Okay, so let's see. Let me check my phone. Okay. This is okay. This thing also looks okay. Okay, so this seems like a multi-start thread, yeah, so it's not like a simple single start thread, which means that I'm gonna have to see where the heck this thing came from. Wait, yeah, this thing, yeah, it doesn't come off. Okay, so find the scratch. Oh no, the scratch is where the infinity point is. You gotta find X. X on here means infinity over here. There you go. You wanna test fit this thing first, basically, yeah? So before you do anything, you wanna test fit and make sure everything actually goes in properly. Then you wanna have this X on this guy. Where's the X? X goes in the middle of this. Go straight in, okay. Then you wanna see how tall the helicoid was, or like how much it was sticking out of the thing, basically. Yeah. So you wanna see this. It's actually under the lip, yeah. So you wanna screw this thing in. The helicoid key is where? It's right there. Okay, so you want to unscrew this. Until you get a chance to basically push this thing into there. And then that's infinity. Okay, seems like I got it, yeah? So gonna just unscrew this thing, unscrew this thing. Okay. Now we're gonna go and put some grease into the helicoids and then just put them back into one piece, yeah? So let's go. First, let's take some heavy grease. NLGI2 bearing grease for the helicoid key, basically. So take some of this for the helicoid key. Actually, let's put this. Yeah, so let's put it now. Some of this over there. Because the helicoid key is gonna need some extra heavy loop that doesn't go everywhere, basically, yeah. And molecule NLGI1 is a bit too liquid for that. So, and sometimes it'll make some rubbing noise. That's why I'm gonna be using this Kyoto-Yushi grease. That way. Stick my brush and my lighter grease. Molecule. Stick some of this. I actually think I need to change this brush, man. This brush is a bit like spread. What you call this thing? Not sure how you say it. It's like basically broken and like going all different directions. These bristles. So that's why I think I'm gonna have to buy another one. They don't cost a lot, but the thing is that it's like always a hassle to buy them, yeah. Cause you pay like $1 for shipping, and these things cost like nothing. So you're basically wasting $1 on shipping. Okay. Then you want to put some grease on the outside of this helicoid. That's why I want to throw this brush away. This brush can sometimes like leave small pieces of its like bristles, and that's gonna be quite shitty if you put this whole helicoid back into one piece and you find one small bristle in there basically, and it'll not run smooth. So that's why I do not like this brush. Last time I bought one brush, like only one brush. Which, see, another one. And the other brush I use for like painting. So if I paint with the other brush, and I also use the other brush for greasing stuff, then when I'm gonna go paint again, my paint's gonna be full of grease. And I don't think that's a good idea to actually have a paintbrush which is full of grease, yeah, so that's why I'm still using this brush. Another bristle. Sure. Son of a shit, man. Fuck this thing. There we go. Okay, so as you can see, this thing spits out bristles like every single time I use it, yeah? So that's an inconvenience. Okay, so you want to find the X. Where the hell is the X? There you go. What in the hell is this, man? hopefully after that thing's out, I can actually use this helicoid smoothly. So let's find the starting point, the X. Okay. Still feels a bit heavy, I'd say. So let's put some of this over here. Let's reduce the grease. Okay. And reduce some grease from here. Okay. Okay, yeah. That should be way light right now, so let's try putting the helicoid back in. X goes onto here. Still feels sort of heavy, I'd say. It's about the same as the old grease, which with its short focus should be okay, I'd say. But let's reduce the grease by a little bit more. This brush is so dead, man. Okay, and for this thing, okay. I think I should have used the lighter grease here, but so lah. This thing actually feels okay. It's a bit on the heavy side, but it's not too heavy. So, should be okay lah. Let's find the X. Put it there. Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty much perfect, this thing. So, it could be lighter, man, to be honest, but it's okay, I'd say. Also, we're gonna be using this thing, which is like a bit bigger than that. So yeah, should be okay lah. Let's put this thing down here, and then now let's grease up the inner part of this helicoid. So, taking this brush. That's so supposed to be decommissioned, yeah. Then you wanna just put some lube over here. This is the inner one, which is a bit more rough, this helicoid, and that means that you can actually be a bit more liberal with the grease. And it's not gonna be heavy, so that's a good thing, yeah. Yeah, this brush is so dead, man. It's like the last time I'm gonna be using this brush. So you know what? Let's throw this brush away. I'm done with this brush. I'm gonna take my paintbrush. I'm gonna buy a new brush soon. So this is my paintbrush. I'm gonna use it for crease. There you go. Fuck the other brush, man. Wait, why is this brush so stiff? Oh shit. Well, I'm not sure why it's so stiff here, but there you go. Oh, it's a bit softer right now. Okay lah. Okay, now it's a bit softer. The grease is some kind of like a, what you call this thing? Like some kind of a moisturizer, I think, yeah. So it's like in your hair. If you have stiff hair, then you put some oil in it and it'll be smooth again. So here you have me collecting the grease, the excess grease. Okay, nice. This old brush actually left a few hairs on, so I'm gonna pull this hair out. Okay. Okay, that's nice. So now you wanna push this thing back in. X goes into this middle of the prong basically. Yeah? So you're gonna find the X on this middle helicoid. I'll go in here, and there you go. Goes in. Okay, next you wanna screw this thing fully down, then screw this thing fully down, then you wanna pull this thing out until this thing can actually go into the helicoid key. There you go. Then you'll basically push this thing to infinity. When it's at infinity, stop it over there, and then you can put your helicoid lock thingy back on basically. Okay, screw this first screw in. You do not want to screw it fully in, yeah. It's like you screw it in slightly, like only a bit, and then screw the second one in, then push it to the end, then tighten it down. So that's in loose, and you put this thing in, also loose, just like that. Okay, then you want to make this thing infinity, push it over there, wait, that's infinity, loosen these things up slightly, push the lock to infinity, or maybe you push it like this and then push the ring until it's at infinity, and then you can screw these things down. Okay, that's done. Oh, I haven't washed this thing, man. Okay, I'm gonna go cut the video first. Yeah, I'm gonna wash this, and then we can put this back on, put this back on, put this back on here, and then you can put the optics back in. So yeah, bye bye. Okay, so I've washed this ring, And let's go to clean the optics basically. Actually, no, let's put this thing back on first. Yeah. So, actually, that's still wet. Yeah, so I'm gonna do the optics first. So this should separate over here, I believe. Let's turn the PC on, I think, yeah. So let me go turn this thing on and check the optical diagram for this FL35mm f2.5. Enter. What's this thing? Canon FL35mm f2.5 optical diagram. Yeah, so images. Why is there no optical diagram for this, man? Wait, this is 35mm f2.5 though. Yeah, it is. So FT 35mm concave. Why are there no 35mm f2.5s? This is okay. Let's see. Not sure. Let's just see how many optical groups and like elements there are. So this thing, oh, there you go, I found this thing. So it has one huge element in the front, which seems like a doublet. I think this thing has some separation on here, maybe. After that, you have like a small optic here, another optic there. Then in here in the back, you have quite a few elements. How many elements are there though? So in the back, there are like 1, 2, 3 elements, I believe, in 2 groups, maybe. Not sure. So let me take some rubber to help me with opening this thing, because I believe that this thing is gonna be hard to open. Not really though, yeah. So let's take the rubber. Just fell down, yeah, this thing. Got my chair. Now let's unscrew this optical block. Here you have, what the fuck? This thing seems concave. This thing? I don't think that's gonna come out. What in the hell? Wait, this must not be the correct diagram then. Not sure. So let's see, this thing has scratches. So this is the rear bit basically. This is the bit that faces inside. Oh wait, I think I'm wrong. Wait. So there's an optical diagram in forum.mflenses.com, and you have this thing. So this is your back. This thing is your front. Oh yeah, then yeah, it's correct then. Okay, so this concave. This thing's okay. Yeah. So this thing's a doublet basically. Let's take another tissue. Clean this thing first. I think this thing, the etching in here is not fixable, but let's see. Hopefully it is. Okay. Then you wanna clean this. Okay. So Canon has these shit coatings basically, which etch really easily, and that's why you see that thing full of etching and not clean. So in Takumars and stuff like that, they're easy to clean up, yeah, and usually the coatings are unharmed. But on old Canons, they really do die, these coatings, yeah. Oh, my hand's dying, man. It's so hurt. Like, I sliced my hand on one of these rings on the lens, and this alcohol is just killing my hand. It's so hurt, man. So, you really don't want to like spin dry the lens on your hand. See, look at my hand. Okay. That seems quite clean. Okay. Okay. And this group is clean. Let's put this thing aside. Now let's clean this thing. So basically the front is like one cemented group basically, to what I can see in the optical diagram. And then you have like another, oh shit man, that's disgusting. So then you have another thing over here which is probably group, probably not, I'm not sure. Then you have, yeah, that, so you have two optics over here, one and one, basically two, yeah, 1, 2. Then you have these two over here in the front. I'm gonna take the front one out, front ones out first, and let's see what will happen in the back. So take this, twist. Okay. This thing is a cemented group, so you do not have to take this thing apart, you just have to wipe this thing. And yeah, this thing seems like some separation on the side. Okay lah. So then you have this optic over here, which does not come out from the front, so you'll have to pull it out from the back. There you go, that's one optic over here, one optic over here. Okay. So what I want to do first, I think I want to clean the middle one first. After the middle one, clean this, and then clean this. So yeah. But first you want to clean like the overall lens surface, which means cleaning this thing first, because this thing is the outside one. And the outside surface is always the most disgusting surface. So once you have that done, you want to clean. Wait, after that, this thing's rubbish straight away. Take a new tissue. Then you want to clean this guy and this guy. Okay, so to clean this thing, I prefer taking this thing out, so I'm gonna do that. So this thing, the flat bit faces the back, the top part over here, yeah? And then the bulging part will face the bottom or the front of the lens. So pull it out like this. What the hell? There you go. This thing's is this oily? It's not oily, okay, nice. This thing's the bulging part, okay. Let's put some more alcohol on this tissue while not putting any on my hand because that'll hurt like hell. This thing cleans up quite nice, so it doesn't have any haze anymore. At least on this element, yeah. Okay. Do one more final wipe. Okay, that is nice and clean. Now you want to put something over it like this, and then you want to clean this optic. This thing has some fungi and some etching. Hopefully it doesn't turn out to be permanent. Let's see. Let's put some extra alcohol. This haze is sort of coming away, which is nice. Sorry I'm doing this out of frame here because the light's on my left and the camera's in front of me, so I cannot wipe it while showing this thing on the camera. This optic is not perfect, it's like some etching. But yeah, not bad lah. See, so okay. Blow this. Blow this. There's some etching, but not a lot. So that's still in like acceptable amounts. Yeah. I can still use this. What you think? Do you think this thing will actually be better than a Nikonos 35mm f2.5? I think it will be, even with this etching and the separation on the side, because Nikonos are like vintage, I don't know, rangefinder optics in a waterproof shell basically, yeah, with the thick like waterproof glass thingy. So yeah, not sure, but I like my Nikonos a lot, but in the end I keep on taking my Nikon 35mm f2 out, the AI one, because that thing's just way nicer and way brighter, which I appreciate a lot. So here the optics. done. There's some etching also on this surface, but not a lot. This front optic's really nice, man. It comes out to be like really clean. So the lens actually looks quite nice in there. Throw this tissue away, pick another tissue. And also, you're not supposed to bang it on the table. This thing, I'm only doing this because my table has no like padding, and I'm turning this thing slowly in. Because if you turn this thing like this, yeah, the whole lens will turn because the bottom is quite thin, and it's not full of like friction. So you can also do this, but sometimes it'll jump. Ah, okay, nice, good. Blow this clean. The front ring actually looks quite clean, man. This thing, honestly. You do not need to like wash this, I believe, yeah. A little bit of alcohol and Q-tip will do it for this, so let's take some alcohol. This thing feels like metal, so yeah. Okay, that seems clear enough. And now I'm gonna go put my tools away, sleep this computer, and then put this ring back in. Nice. Looks really clean. Now you want to clean this one more time. Then stick this into the back of the lens. Then you have this. which is gonna lock this optical block in. Okay. Okay, that's tight. Now you wanna put the optical block like this over here. Make sure not to like smash that thing on the floor by like nudging it. Then you wanna put this thing to here. Line the infinity markers up, and they do line up. So actually they don't, I think. Oh, they do, yeah, okay. So put this thing over here. Find your screwdriver. Let's take a 2 point something bit or a 3mm bit, because this thing is quite a large screw, yeah. So taking a 3mm. Let's see if it'll fit. And it does sort of fit. Yeah, it does fit. Okay, nice. So screw this thing in. Okay, perfect. Then screw this thing in. And screw this thing in. Okay, next you want to tighten these screws down quite hard. Actually, it don't have to be very hard, yeah, but so what, you want to do it quite hard. Okay, and then next, what you want to do, you want to put the optical block into here, I believe, yeah? Yeah. See, it's not very heavy, this thing. Somehow Helicoid always makes this squishing noise. My FL also did this, the Canon FL. Not sure why, but yeah, so what. I'm gonna put this thing in basically after this. See? Nice. No more wobble. The wobble was in the Helicoid key before, yeah? Before this. So then you have this guy. This shim. Just gotta go here. Push this down again. Okay. Then you wanna lock this thing in. This thing looks a bit dirty. I've already washed this, I think, yeah. Not sure, but I think I have. Let's wipe the alcohol again to make sure. So this is basically a full overhaul, yeah, on this Canon FL35mm f2.5. Up to a point that you can say this thing is as clean as it was when it was new, yeah, basically. So yeah, not bad. Let's push this thing down again. What in the hell is this? Oh. Some customers are sort of assholes, yeah. They like force you to make stuff which you don't want to make. That's quite odd, I'd say, because I'm doing this as a hobby and not like a full-time job. That's why sometimes I can actually say no, but not sure why people actually force me to do stuff which I do not want to do. This guy wants like a Nikonos to Sony E-mount adapter, and I don't want to make one. That's the thing. I do not want to make one. I made one to Leica M because I wanted it to work on my Leica T and my Nikon Z6. I didn't make a Sony one because I do not have a Sony camera. I have a Sony tech card adapter from Sony E-mount to Nikon Nikon Z, which in the end allows me to use Sony glass. But let me go show you this. Shit. Oh wait, I don't actually have adapters. Hold on, let's just do this another day. But I've actually made a video on the Nikonos to Leica mount adapter that I've made. If you want to watch it, that's I think the only one that is available in like the world basically. Aside from the what you call this case thingy, it's the not sure what the hell you call that case, yeah, but it's some case for the Leica M, which in the end will allow it to like accept Nikonos lenses. My adapter actually works quite well, even though it's like super thin. But I made the adapter because I like the Nikonos lenses and I like the system. I also like the Leica M system. That's why I made it. I do not like the Sony system, and that's why I'm not gonna make one. So yeah, these things are pivots. Pivots need grease. Pivots need grease, so I'm gonna give this thing some. This thing has a spring. Spring will go on that fastener, which will in the end go up here. So let's put some Helicoid grease so everything will die at the same time, yeah. So if you put more than one type of grease in the lens, sometimes some types of grease will actually die before the other grease, which in the end means that sometimes your focus will be nice, yeah, and your aperture is like full of grease, like Helios lenses basically. And that's what I do not want, so let's just use the same type of grease everywhere else. So this thing still has some grease, okay. Let's put some grease on here. Some grease on here. Okay. And we want to put this over here. If I sound like I'm putting this thing in my mouth, because I don't want to contaminate my table with some grease. So yeah. And you want to put this over here. Like that, yeah. Then you want to put this. Then you want to put this on here first basically, yeah. So you want to put some grease on here and on the bottom of here and over here. Okay. Next, this thing goes into here, yeah. So you want to basically loop this top, loop the inside, and loop the bottom pivot. Just like that, yeah. Okay, and then you can push this in here, like this, yeah. There you go. And then do that. Okay, so then you wanna basically put the screw back in. Let's take this slot 3.0 out and put this in. Also, if you're putting your tools in your mouth, put only the edge of your tool into your teeth and don't like use your tongue and stuff like that. That's disgusting. So the reason why I can't talk clearly is because if you put your tool in your mouth, like put in your gum and stuff like that, you will be able to talk, but then your tools will be disgusting as heck, and that's disgusting for me. I do not want to do that. So if you only put them in your teeth, you're only contacting very little bit of your mouth, which is more hygienic than putting them in your gum. So you wanna push this in here, basically, yeah. Fuck you, man. Come on. Go in, no shit. Go in, yeah. There you go. That's cool, man. Come on, So basically the spring doesn't want to stretch and like cover the, there you go, pivot. Not has already done that, so I want to push it down, down. Okay, and this thing is supposed to be able to push. What way should it push? I'm not 100% sure yet, but I think it's supposed to be able to push like that way. There you go, see? So it's supposed to push that way, which means you have to push it over here, and then you want to push this pivot over here into here. Nice. Then you want to push this pushing over here. Okay. Then you want to push this screw into here, like that, yeah? Then you want to find where the heck the hole is, and then screw it in. I think that's the hole, yeah, see? So screw this thing in. Then you want to take your screwdriver, change the bit to like your hugest bit you have. This thing's a slotted 4.0 mil. I think I used this thing just now, yeah, to open this thing up, so I'm going to use this thing to close it back down. Tighten it down, okay. Then, as you can see, it actually works. So now what you want to do is, this is like basically the home stretch, yeah. So you want to put this thing back in like this. Make sure the holes are visible from outside. Take your 1.5 bit. I think it's a bit too big at 1.5, but let's see. Let's put the screws over here. Oh no, it's actually okay 1.5. So 1.5 should be okay for this. Let's screw, come on lah. Go in. Oh shit. But yeah, this thing is a bit hard to get correct. Okay, this thing actually works. Let's screw it down. This thing I think is quite easy to straight up. I'm not sure, yeah, because this thing seems like aluminum. So I advise against like torquing this thing fully down. The lens body seems like steel. I'm not sure what the heck it is, yeah. Maybe it's aluminum also, but it's a bit more thick, yeah, basically, the lens body. These screws are a bit thin, and that's why I do not like to torque these things down that much. Why? Oh, no, that's wrong. That's why it's not going in. This goes in here. Okay. Then the last one. Okay. Now you have this, which means you wanna loop the rails on this thing, on the helicoid. Because FD lenses use like this system where you actually clamp on the mount with this helicoid on here, which is quite odd, but yeah, there you go. That is Canon's logic. So Okay, so I think everything is okay. And that is, I think, but I'm sure of that. So let's see. Let's mount on my burnt FTP. It will. So yeah, thank you for watching, everyone. Hopefully you liked the video. Thank you and goodbye. Have a nice day. My FL 35mm f2.5 is done. Bye bye.